Hey, friends. Welcome to Dishing on Divorce on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, Podcasts, and TV. I'm your host, Lisa Lisser, CEO and founder of LZL Coaching, a boutique coaching firm focused on life, divorce, relationships, and life transition. I'm also a recovering attorney, a current educator, an author, a mediator, a spiritual counselor, and a divorce coach who's committed to transforming the divorce experience for everyone involved. Think of me as your guide on the side. I know the experience of divorce firsthand because I've lived it. I understand the fear, I understand the overwhelm. There are so many decisions you need to make when you're feeling so fragile and so lost. Who can you turn to for support? That's where a divorce coach can be your greatest asset. One of the most difficult roads to navigate is understanding your financial situation going forward. If you're receiving support from your ex, you may be worried, what happens if something happens to your ex? And that's where today's guest offers unique value. His organization is devoted to single and divorced families and how to protect them. Welcome, Ron Platt.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to be on your show.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I'm going to apologize in advance. I hear my dog barking in the background, and I can't get up to go reprimand it right now. So that is what it is.
Welcome to live shows.
Yes, exactly. So, Ron, you are the CEO and founder of NASDF, the National Association of Single and Divorced Families. You know, you're a serial entrepreneur. You have over 35 years of experience across insurance, real estate, and social advocacy. You built your career defined by innovation and impact. But it's your personal experience, both as a foster parent and an advocate for families in crisis, that shaped your true mission to reform the systems that fail single family and divorced households. This passion led to the creation of NASDF, a first of its kind membership organization offering an umbrella of products, services, support, and resources for families nationwide. And what is so unique is you're responsible for creating and launching the only divorce insurance product that's on the market called Support Insured, which guarantees that continuation of child support and alimony payments should the payer die, become disabled, or involuntarily unemployed. This is a game changer for the divorce community. Ron, thanks for coming.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. You got everything perfect. Except I'm the co-founder. I do have a co-founder that helped me start the association.
Yes. But you're here with us today, so we
Yes.
want to talk to you and tell us a little bit about what got you here, what motivated you. Start with why, to quote
Sure.
Simon Sinek.
I think it was a culmination of a lot of things that I've gone through in my life. It's kind of like the universe set things in place for me to be able to achieve and get over and have to challenges I've had and helping friends with their challenges to be able to take all that information and be able to realize I need to help people on a broader scale.
Mm-hmm.
So the foster care reform that we want to work on as soon as our association gets a little bit bigger comes because I became a foster parent to a 13-year-old LGBTQ young man. And I saw that he had been moved from home to home until he found my home. And he had a lot of stuff that he had to deal with. And every time I went for services like therapy or extra help that he needed with school or things that were supposed to be provided to me as part of the system were failing him miserably. And thank God I was in a position financially that I could afford to get him the private tutors and get him the mental health that he needed aside from what they were offering. But I realized that there's kids all over the city, all over the state that were getting undertreated, not because their social or caseworkers were doing a bad job, but because they were overwhelmed and underfunded as well. In today's day and age, we hear a lot about women's right to an abortion being taken away from them, but they're not talking about the children. Okay, so we have all these unwanted children going into the system. What are the states doing about that? And these kids don't have a voice. So I wanted to be able to have an association that's large enough to be able to have people believing in what we're doing and be able to back me up when I say, hey, we have got to go state by state and start reforming the systems. But I also think it was having gone through my own, what I call undivorce, where I wasn't married, but I was with somebody for 14 years in a toxic, conditionally loving relationship, to be able to go through what I went through with that person, which I still have PTSD over, to be able to get out of that toxic relationship, to be able to get my focus on what it is that I wanted in my next relationship, what I needed to work on to be a better partner in my next relationship, and to have found my soulmate, and now 15 years with him, very, very happily, and then be able to give that experience to people, and to be able to see what my friends have gone through when they've had abusive relationships, and I've had to go and take them in my house, or go represent as a witness in their court systems. All these things that I saw were failing people that I said I have to be able to do something about it. So what I wanted to do is tailor what AARP has done for people who are 55 and older. And like them, we provide products, services, support, and resources for people who are in the process of getting a divorce, currently divorced, or have a single family situation at home. And what I realized is when you go to Google and you type the word divorce, you get about 5 pages of attorneys, but you got to wait till you get to 6, 7, and 8 before you get to resources. So what we've done is we've taken all those resources and put it under one umbrella. And then we provide a bunch of things that people need when they're in the process of getting a divorce, like daycare services, mental health care, real estate. There's so many benefits that you get for the $19 a month that I have to get my list out actually to look at it. But that's what got me to form the association and begin the advocacy. And then the insurance product came together. My dad and I were in the insurance business many years ago, and we're sitting at lunch, and he always said he wanted to put together an insurance product that would guarantee child support and alimony for death, disability, and involuntary unemployment. And I thought, that's brilliant. But he tried placing it with an insurance company for about 20 years, and this is what we did for a living, and every carrier that we went to said no. And it wasn't until recently that a friend of mine called me up and said, did you ever place the insurance? And I said, no, I didn't. He goes, well, I have somebody I want you to talk to. And that person got the policy, took the actuarial report, sat down, called me up and said, I think we're going to do this. And I remember looking at my dad, who's since passed, and said, wow, I think I just did this. So now we have Support Insured that is part of NASDF, and we're very happy about that.
So that's amazing. And your story is so nuanced and also straightforward, right? Like all of our stories. Like, you had a difficult relationship that was toxic, and you needed to separate.
Yep.
And, I didn't ask, but had you already taken your foster child and brought them into your house when that happened, or did that happen afterwards?
So my ex and I had broken up for a period of about 2 or 3 years. And during that time, I became a foster parent. I realized that this is something that I was very passionate about and wanted to do. I was inspired by a friend of mine in California who got his foster son when I went out to visit him. And I watched that whole process and thought, I could do this. I could do this. So when I got back, I went to a networking event, and this woman got up in front of me and said, I'm looking for LGBTQ single and coupled individuals to take in LGBTQ children. And I thought, wow. I looked up and said, I guess it's meant. So that's how I got started. And I did bring him into that unfortunate toxic relationship. But at the time, he was around 18 years old. So he was only with me part-time at that point.
Right. But what you did, you tried to fix the system by taking someone into your home, which is really a generous and gracious thing to do. And not that many people take that on. And so I just want to thank you for that in the first place. But you also then got a bird's eye view of the foster care system, which is, I probably have a choice word for that I'm not going to say, but it's probably not operated in the best way.
And again, I don't blame the caseworkers. They're doing the best they can with the limited resources that they have. I blame the system. I blame the family judges who, again, are also overburdened as well. And their hands are tied legislatively. They're tied with the rule of law. There's a lot of things preventing them from being able to give that child what they need, or give that family what they need. So that's where the passion comes in. And I also, which was interesting, is when I would take my son to school, we would talk about the homeless kids that were out there. And I'd be driving saying, I don't see these kids. And he'd say, oh, I'll point them out to you. And as we were going to school, he would say that one. He knew all of them because he basically hung out
Yeah.
with them. He'd say that one, that one, that one. And then you have this thing in your brain called a reticular activator where you suddenly start seeing everything that you didn't see before. And that's all I could see were these homeless kids, these LGBTQ kids that had been thrown out of their homes or were beaten up in foster care systems or things like that. And then I realized that this is a bigger problem than we can imagine.
Yeah, because you're right. We don't see something until someone opens our eyes to the fact that it's there.
Correct.
And so what you're doing is pointing out, look, the single families, foster care families are in need of support, and divorce families are in need of support. And maybe the resources they need are actually similar.
Exactly.
And that's like a really brilliant sort of interweaving of two broken systems to recognize that you can create a network to support those families.
And the network is huge, and you would never know it because, again, if your reticular activator isn't up and running, you're not going to know it. You see those 5 pages on Google that tell you about attorneys and mediators, but there's, like yourself, divorce coaches. There are a ton of resources out there. We have a nonprofit here in Florida that helps people with their child custody issues for free. They can give them direction. They can get them an attorney at an affordable cost. Nobody would have ever known that was out there until you start searching, and you have to go deep. And that's what we do. In fact, my co-founder is going state by state by state, vetting attorneys, mediators, divorce coaches, nonprofits that offer services, whether it's if you're in an abusive relationship and you need help, those will be on our resource sheet so that you don't have to go to Google, just go become a member and all the resources are there.
Yeah. And that's a real benefit. People don't realize that that's really out there. They might even hear the $19 or even if it was $50, they hear that number as a repeating number and they get scared.
Yeah.
Because they think they don't have the resources. But how do we lift up the benefit that's underneath that membership fee? And how do we also let people understand that membership does have its privileges? Like being part of a community gives you a strength and support that you're not going to have on your own.
I call it the Costco effect.
Okay.
Costco has 178 million members, which I think is crazy. It's half the population of the United States.
Yeah.
But because they're so large, they're able to go to big corporations like Publix, Safeway, you name it, everything's at Costco. So they're able to go and negotiate better pricing because they have a membership-based type shopping opportunity for their members. The larger we get, the better things get and the cheaper things get. So eventually our $19 membership fee, I'm hoping to bring that down to maybe $10 because I will have other people feeding us enough revenue that we won't have to even charge our members. But things like mental health care. Right now we offer 3 free mental health care sessions. That is soon, like within the next month or so, going to jump up to 8 free sessions per condition. So if you have, say, depression and anxiety, that would give you 16 free sessions and then discounted sessions thereafter. So if you have children that are, and a lot of divorces have children that are having a hard time with the parents separating, this is an opportunity for you to participate in the mental health care. Through Learning Care Group, we have La Petite Academy, Montessori, You Grow, a ton of different schools that are part of the children's educational program that they are willing to go ahead and waive the registration fees and give a discount for enrollment. We have discounted diapers and formula services. We have real estate services, which I love to share. I've been a realtor for 23 years. If you are looking to buy or sell your home and you use one of the realtors in our referral network, what will happen is that referring agent is going to pay NASDF a commission. Of that commission, 25% of that is going back to our members' closing costs. So that savings alone could be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, $7,000 on your closing costs. Think that this is how it begins to grow. I think we need to hit another threshold before we can start going to some of the major grocery stores and say, hey, can you give our members discounts for certain products and services? I want to go to companies like AutoNation and say, our people need a car. Can you provide them with a discount? My thing that I'm working on right now is we recently had a member who came to us and said, I can't afford legal services. And we had a whole discussion with her. And what had happened is she left her husband, who was an architect and made a great living, but she was an at-home mom and now needed to go out and hire an attorney. And that attorney wanted a $5,000 retainer. She doesn't have the money. So now she goes for free legal services. And what they did is they added up her income with his income, and she makes too much money, so she didn't qualify. So what I want to do is create a credit card like, say, Care Credit. Care Credit, you're only able to charge for cosmetic and pet care. I want a credit card like Care Credit that only will give you credit for legal services, mediation services, and court costs. And if we could get a balance up to, say, $5,000 or $10,000 to help that person who says, hey, I don't have money, but when I get my settlement, or I can make a minimum payment until I get my settlement, that credit card would be provided. So that's we see the need, and I'm out there trying to fill it as quickly as I can.
That's amazing. That's really intentional and empowering for the people who need your services.
Yeah.
The idea of this credit card is great. I love it. But it just reiterates for me and reinforces how creative you are about thinking about the needs and how you can support people in this world.
Yep.
So we're about halfway through. We usually take a 30-second break now, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about your support insured.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So we will be back after a brief message from our sponsor. And we're back with Ron Platt, one of the founders of NASDF, the National Association of Single and Divorced Families. So the big story today is divorce support insurance coverage.
Yep.
So Ron, tell us what this means, how you and your dad came to the conclusion that this was so necessary, and then how did you actually make it happen?
Great question. Again, I was sitting with my father at lunch one day. We were both doing we were in the insurance business doing product development, and our specialty was niche products, things that people couldn't seem to insure, but there was a good need for it, and we would always find him the right carrier. He says to me, I really want to insure child support and alimony coverage for death, disability, and involuntary unemployment. Now, the reason why it's important is because when you go to file for divorce, if you're receiving child support or alimony, typically the payer will purchase a life insurance product that will continue those payments if they die until the child turns either 18 or 21. Or it could pay for their college education, or if it's going towards alimony, of course, protect that person up until a certain point. But what if they don't die? What if they become disabled? Or suddenly they've lost their job because the job downsized, or they're an entrepreneur and they lost a major account and have to declare bankruptcy. There's a lot of other factors besides, of course, death that would cause those payments to stop. So what we were able to do was provide insurance that will guarantee for up to a year that those payments will continue if that person dies, becomes disabled, or suddenly loses their job because they were laid off, or if the business closed, or an unintentional unemployment. It's a sort of like a stopgap. It allows the payer to get back on their feet, hopefully find another job or be able to continue. I spoke to an attorney the other day and they said, well, we can go to court and ask the court to withhold the payments until that person gets a job again. And I said, well, that's great, but what about the person receiving the payments? Like, oh, hey, I'm unemployed. Sorry, I can't pay your child support and alimony, so the kids aren't supposed to eat until you get a job. With us, we'll go ahead and continue making those payments for up to a year. There's nobody in the market doing this, so we are first up to be able to provide this level of service.
So that's pretty amazing. How did you convince the carrier that this was the right thing to do?
Well, my dad went to his death trying to place it for the past 20 years. It was probably the most frustrating thing he's ever had to do. I finally was like, Dad, just stop. He's like, no, I'm so close. And he would go to companies that wrote similar products and say, I just want to offer that product to the divorce market. And the carriers kept coming back and saying no. So the story behind how I found this underwriter was that many years ago, I was working on this project and I was also a realtor. And it's a Saturday, and I'm at this retail where our office was, this retail spot, in the door. Somebody's banging at the door, and I get up and I open the door, and it's this big, burly guy saying, "I want to buy a restaurant." And he kind of like pushes his way through, and I'm like, "Yeah, have a seat, not a problem." So he and I start talking, and he's looking at my business card, and he said, "What else are you supposed to be doing besides real estate?" And I said, "Well, I have this idea for an association and this insurance product." And he and I became very good friends, and his name is Joey the Bodyguard. And if I say it, and people will probably know who I'm talking about if you're from Miami, because he's pretty well known.
Okay.
And he has stuck with me all these years, either trying to find me an investor to help launch this or to get me an insurance carrier. He knows everybody. So recently, like 6 months ago, he called me up and said, "Did you ever find an underwriter?" I said, "No." He says, "I think I have somebody for you." Gets this guy on the phone. Guy's about 70 years old, who, by the way, those older underwriters are the best because they are the true risk takers. Today, everybody's afraid to step outside the box. That's what these guys did. That's how they earn their living, is stepping outside the box, doing things other people wouldn't do, and then realizing there's a lot of money in it. So I got on the phone with the guy, and he says, "I love the idea. Do you have an actuarial report?" And I said, "Actually, I do." He goes, "Do you have a policy?" I said, "I got a policy. What else do you want? Statistics? I'll give you statistics. Anything you want, I've got. I've been doing this for 20 years. So I sent it all to him, and he called me back 2 weeks later and said, "We're going to go ahead and do it." What was interesting is that he had one product that he underwrote that did exceptionally well. And in order to make it happen, I don't want to get too technical on this, but basically you're buying a part of the insurance company that only underwrites that particular risk, but you have to fund it. And we never had the money to go ahead and put up that kind of funding. This guy has more than enough in there. And when I said to him, "Look, I don't have the money to fund it," he's like, "Oh, I got more than enough in there, and I'm looking for something else to do. This is perfect."
Wonderful.
Like
Yeah.
yourself, I want to be able to help. And that's how it happened.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how do people find this? How do people write this into their agreements that they need to use this in the instance of disability or loss of a job?
So we are reaching out to a lot of the family law attorneys out there to go ahead and help them understand what the product is. I'm doing a lot of marketing, a lot of advertising. I think you're soon going to see me on Yahoo and Google, and you're going to see me on media streams and things like that, really making this huge announcement. I have a PR firm that's working on this for me on a national basis. If you want to purchase it now, all you have to do is go to our website, www.nasdf.org, and then you'll see an insurance icon. If you click on the insurance icon, it says information. You can see what your rates are. It's very simple. It's based off of your age and the amount that you're receiving that the courts have acknowledged that you are to be receiving. Somebody asked me the other day, "Can I buy more than what I am receiving?" And I'm like, "Sure, but I'm only going to pay you for what you're receiving. If you want to pay more, thank you for the donation. I don't need it. Just pay for what you're supposed to." And then you can register online. You click on the enroll, put in the information. What's great about this is if the payer decides they don't want to pay, you as the payee, the receiver, can go ahead and pay it, can go ahead and purchase it on behalf of that person.
Right.
As long as you know where they work and how long they've been around and all this, the information that's requested on the application. And then once you give us your credit card, you instantly get a certificate of coverage. You're done. You're good. It's really that simple.
Wow. And then what is it like to make a claim on it?
Again, if you read through the certificate of insurance, it explains how to make a claim. Once there is a claim, it usually takes about 2 or 3 weeks for us to pay. We just need to confirm that the information is correct, that the person is indeed unemployed, that they're not a deadbeat parent, because we don't cover for deadbeat parents.
Yeah.
Right. But that everything is correct. And once it is, we go ahead and start sending payments.
That's amazing.
Yep.
It's really amazing because people don't think that far in advance.
Right.
right? And so what's really important is getting this information in front of the lawyers, in front of the judges who are making the decisions and writing the agreements.
Correct.
Because if it's in your agreement that this exists and you need, the paying spouse needs to get this kind of insurance along with the life insurance.
Correct.
Because what if? And
Right.
it may never happen, but what if?
Yep. And if you're not married, that's okay. If it was palimony or, you, as long as we know whoever is paying, it's not due to a divorce or what have you, it's a court mandated amount, we're good to cover it.
Amazing. Amazing. That's great. So have you had people start taking you up on this?
We literally launched it about 3 weeks ago. We did write our first policy the other day. We were all excited, like, oh my God, it's one of many things to come. But the promotional campaign is in the process. It started. We're now expanding it to the newspapers and the media and everything else. So you're going to start to see a lot of action on the product.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, I mean, for me as a divorce coach, this is a game changer because people are always concerned about the child support and the alimony, but they don't often think about what if he gets disabled or what if she loses her job. And also sometimes the paying spouse will say, my job isn't secure, I might lose my job, and therefore I can only pay X amount.
Right.
But with this insurance product, they actually can't get away with paying less than what they should be paying.
Correct.
Because they have this security behind them.
Correct. And, it's actually good for the payer as well, because if they were laid off, they're going to go into panic mode about how are they going to support their child.
Yeah.
Now they can breathe and say, okay, I've got about 2 or 3, you've got a year, of course, but I don't want to wait 12 months before I get a job, but it enables me to be able to take the right position because I've got my payments being covered.
Right. And then they can reach out to your sister, Sherry, who does employment issues and how do you redefine yourself. So
and she's one of the benefits under our membership. She has, I think, almost 10 or 15 videos, free videos that our members can look at to see how to update their LinkedIn accounts, how to dress for success, how to get in front of the employer. If you're an at-home mom and you have to re-enter the job force, you can do one-on-one coaching with her as well. And I got to tell you, every time anytime I refer somebody to her and they actually do the work, they come back and they say, your sister's a freaking genius. And I'm like, I know.
It runs in the family. I know.
Yeah, she's amazing.
So one of the things you talk about that's a benefit that people don't necessarily think about when they're thinking about divorce is this real estate member benefit. So what are you talking about there? I mean, people think that, well, I just need a realtor, but what do you think? What is here that's distinctive?
We have a nationwide network of realtors that are familiar with the divorce process. So instead of you going to the person that's always sold your home, and again, I work my business by referrals as well, so I don't want to take any business away from realtors. But if you do use one of the realtors that are part of our network, what happens is they're going to pay us a 25% referral fee out of their commission because of the referral that we're referring our member to that agent. But what we do is we take that 25%, we don't make any money on it, and we turn around and give that back to our member to offset their closing costs. So typically your closing costs are going to be right around 4% of your total purchase price. Now you're going to get a certain proportion of that automatically credited to you at closing. I can't even get a realtor to go ahead and do that because that would be too much money out of their pocket. But because we're a membership-based association, we're able to go ahead and use that money to give back to our members. It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it also, it makes the transaction go more smoothly.
Yep. Especially because you're working with agents that are familiar with divorce. They understand the process. And a lot of times they're not there necessarily to sell your house. They're there to advise you as to whether that's the best choice. For instance, if you decide you want to keep the house, but you have to buy out your partner, Well, they will have resources, lenders that can specifically go ahead and refinance the house for you so that you can keep the house and pay that partner off.
That's great. That's really great.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at the end of our time now. What do people need to know to access the NASDF network?
Absolutely. Very simple. www.nasdf.org. It's on the screen. Just go there. It says join or it says insurance. And when you do purchase the insurance, you get a discounted membership in NASDF as well. So that's it. It's pretty simple.
That's great. That's great. So tell my clients how they can reach you if they have any questions.
Absolutely. You can, if you want to email me, you can go to info@nasdf.org. You can also go to rplatt@nasdf.org. That's my personal email. You'll probably get a quicker response if you go to the info@nasdf.org.
Okay.
So, because I get a lot of emails, but we have a group set up to go ahead and handle our info emails as well.
Great. That's
Absolutely.
great.
You can also, by the way, our social media, we are on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube. There's great videos on there. Even Lisa is on a couple of our videos. When we interviewed her, it's NASDF.org is most of our social sites.
Great. Thank you so much. This is really a valuable network for people to join. I know for me, when it comes time to sign up for AARP, I fight it kicking and screaming because I don't want to believe that my age is accurate. But this is something altogether different because you can get divorced and become a single parent at any age. And you want to make sure that you're covered.
Correct.
And covered from an insurance perspective, but also covered with all of the services you could need. And most people don't know all the services that they could need because when they think about divorce, they think about what you said first. You type in divorce and you get 5 pages of lawyers.
Yep.
And that's the mindset that's out there, that if I'm getting divorced, oh my gosh, I have to hire a lawyer. But what you're sharing is that may not be the best first step.
Correct.
It may not be and it certainly isn't the only first step. So maybe reach out to one of our coaches, one of our realtors, one of our financial advisors, because these are the people who can help you get a handle on what you're actually talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to the lawyer, you're armed with a lot more information. So becoming a member of NASDF can be a huge benefit to your whole divorce process.
Or single family, if you're a single family and never married.
Right.
Or if you just want to join because you want the benefits and you don't have any children or anything, join because the benefits are there. It's applicable to everybody.
So that's amazing. Thank you so much, Ron. It was great speaking with you. This is Lisa Lisser, Dishing on Divorce. You can find me, Lisa, at LZL Coaching, and my website is lzlcoaching.com. See you next time.